Okay, guys, I'm back to talk about another DreamWorks movie. Yeah, it's been a couple weeks since I, reviewed, a DreamWorks movie, or I think reviewed anything in general. And that is because, well, I've actually lost my, I lost my, phone and all that. Because I use my older phone, just because, honestly, I think it's kind of better with this kind of stuff. It's actually better in general. I'm not the biggest fan of my new phone. I don't completely hate it. I had to get a new phone because, well, this one, I need to get a new battery for it and all that. And trying to get a battery inside this thing is kind of difficult. It's kind of difficult to do. Especially trying to get somebody to actually do it, because that's kind of the problem. I mean, before I start the review, I will say that's kind of the problem I've been having is trying to find somebody to either do it or help me fix some of the problems I'm having with my new phone. It's like nobody's trained to use technology anymore, Nobody's trained to do any of that anymore, so it makes it a lot more, a pain to do when you gotta do it yourself and all that. I'm I'd rather have somebody else do it, I don't understand why I can't just have the phone store be able to do some of this stuff. But I've had a little bit of help with some stuff, but not a lot. A lot of times they'll just try to sell me a new phone. That's kind of one of the reasons why I got a different phone too. And I've actually had, a lot more problems with it too, than this phone. Of course, I didn't get the newest model. I got the Galaxy, was it Galaxy 20S or something like that? I don't remember. That was because it was the last one to feature an SD card. That's why I got it. Because, with all the technology issues we've been having, I've been kind of just going back to that, I mean, sure, you can save stuff to the cloud. The problem is, though, is the cloud is also, connected to a lot of this stuff, too, And I can back it up on other SD cards on the computer and all that, but I'm it's just more easier to do it, this way. So, that's kind of the problem. That's why I've been using this phone to do a lot of this stuff, and all that, but it's no big deal. I'm still gonna get it done, but I do want to apologize for not being able to get these reviews done. Because I actually have 2 of them I'm gonna be doing reviews on. I'm gonna try to get them done this week. Last week, I had 3 appointments. I couldn't get it done because that's when I started doing these uploads again. I couldn't actually get them, get to it because I had 3 appointments. I didn't know I had 3 appointments, but apparently I did. I think it's because, one was because, one appointment with my therapist was because, Mamaw had to go to the hospital and all that. She had to go to the hospital. She had a horrible reaction, And due to her age, she's not super old, but she's in her 70s. And she takes me to these appointments. She had to go to the hospital and all that, so I had to reschedule some of the stuff, But that's probably why some of those went in that week. But everything should be kind of back to normal now, hopefully, So I have no appointments this week that I'm aware of. Because I did write all the stuff down this time because I've been forgetting to write that down, so I've been having her help me with that too. But now that I got this introduction out of the way, let's actually talk about this movie called Captain Underpants. Now, I will say there is going to be a mistake in this video. It's not a huge minor mistake. But it is a fun fact, but I will actually point this out at the end anyway, because I feel like, it would actually fit more. I was gonna talk about it at the beginning, but, I'm I've already messed it up, but I'm it'll be at the end anyway, I feel like it's no big deal. I mean, people make animation errors all the time, but I could have fixed it, but I'm it's kind of a pain to kind of do this. Plus, I actually already picked the color out, with the title card here and all that. So I was because I was selecting a specific color for, DreamWorks theme, because DreamWorks has got the light blue sky. I actually changed that up throughout time. I kind of like this one. The problem is it's kind of similar to the Pixar one I was doing, but I think it kind of fits it, because of the blue sky and all that. But anywho, let's go ahead and actually talk about it. Let's talk about the movie. So this is Captain Underpants. Yeah, we're gonna be talking about Captain Underpants. Now, if you guys don't know what Captain Underpants is actually a comic book, stuff that came out. I was actually looking at it. Apparently, it came out in 1999, because when I was making the cards last week for this, I actually had to, put in the Captain Underpants movie, which I guess makes sense, but I was hoping maybe it would just pull up the movie, but I had to actually put the movie in there, because there's actually a comic book, thing here. The people who made these comic books also made Captain Underpants. And I think they made Dogman, too. They made a movie called Dogman as well, which I think it's still in theaters right now. I think. I could be wrong. So I won't be able to get it on, physical media yet. I'm trying to actually buy all the stuff so I don't run into the Sony, Pictures Animation, problem. I run into a problem and all that where, I run into the problem where, I can't, review, all the movies because I don't have access to all of them. Because actually, even though DreamWorks, has their stuff kind of not as spread out, unlike Sony, who owns, Columbia Pictures and all that, all their stuff's spread all over the place. With DreamWorks and all that, they're kind of part of, Comcast, aka Universal, so they basically have all their stuff on their own platform, But they also have it on Netflix. So, hopefully I don't have access to Netflix, but some of these movies are also not on Peacock, which is, Universal streaming service. So hopefully I can actually, get to it. That's kind of the problem with freaking streaming is this crap. I literally cannot stand this. I'm sorry, I cannot stand this. But some of this stuff's not getting physical releases yet. Some of it actually has, I just don't have access to it. But I've gotten most of the movies. I actually have almost all of them. I think I'm missing maybe 3. Chicken Run 2. And then I'm missing, Megamind 2 versus the Doom, which I hear that movie is not very good, but I still have to review it. And then also this movie about a dark creature or something called Darkness or something, or is it Afraid of the Dark, something like that. I don't have access to that, and I can't remember if there's supposed to be a sequel to Wallace and Gromit, or not the Were Rabbit, but I guess it won't be a sequel, just a better movie. But I don't know. I don't know when that's supposed to come out, but they're making some stuff here, so that's pretty good and all that. But I actually do want to talk. I do want to talk about this movie though, because this movie is actually one I do have access to. I actually bought it. Now I will say I actually didn't want to buy it for the longest time because I watched it the first time, and I remember not really liking it too much. I did not like it, and I think it's because this movie reminds me a lot of what I experienced in grade school, at least 5th grade. I talked about that because I went through my childhood and kind of talked about school and all that. Those videos are for people who want to know about my childhood, but Yeah, it was not very good. We had a very controlling principal. He was not a very good principal. Like, he wouldn't let the students have fun, and we were forced to have assigned seats in the cafeteria. Well, the fifth graders were, because it got too loud, and all. I'm like, people are talking. I mean, it was loud for me too. I'm not gonna say it wasn't. Like, I have sensitive ears too, but I'm like, basically you took away something that was fun there. Not to mention, they wouldn't let the big kids play in the playground with little kids, afraid they were gonna get hurt. But I'm like, there was never a problem with this before, and I'm like, if you be careful, you shouldn't have a problem, because they'll let third graders play on it. It was like a thing from kindergarten to third graders could play in the playground, but fourth graders and fifth graders couldn't. And I want to clarify these kids are not very, I was tall for my age. I was super tall, but a lot of these kids were not like super big compared to the others. And this is kind of like saying, back in the day, like McDonald's and all that, some play areas to this day, like Burger King and all that, still have, play areas for bigger kids too. It's not just little kids. But you do have to be careful. And I feel like that was kind of, the guy was just being controlling and all that. And that is kind of what reminded me about it. Not to mention, this movie came out in 2017, which, by the way, was the worst year of my entire life. It was awful. A lot of people would say that 2020 was their worst year. 2020 was 2020 for me was I don't know, it was it was rough, being cooped in your house and all, and seeing your favorite places closed. But I never have had anything as bad as 2017. I'm not going to go into too much detail, just because, I want to eventually down the road, talk about that stuff, kind of, give you guys my childhood too, because I want people to learn about that stuff too. But because I just did the schools because I was like, you know what, it's easier to talk about the schools and the stuff at home, or the stuff outside of school, I should say, which I guess would be home too. But you guys, I want to get my, I want people to know my childhood and all that, but I don't want to talk about both of them at the same time. But that said, though, 2017 was not a very good year for me. I lost all my scripts. My mom left the state. She left the state, and she was dealing with problems with them. I think with Andy and all that too. But I was kind of just up here with my dad, for my remainder of my school years and all that, and it was just rough. It was rough for me, but that's the problem. That was the problem with the movie too. Is it just kind of reminded me of the bad times because I was going through so much. But now, I'm not gonna say everything's fantastic now either. I have dealing with a lot of stuff too, but I'll say things are much better now. So watching the movie again, giving a better idea, of what the movie's about. I'll say it's not, I don't hate it as bad as I did back then. However, I will say this movie is not, I think this movie is overrated. I think it's overrated. But I don't think it deserves the hate that I gave it a long time ago either when I watched it. I'm saying it I, actually reviewed it back then. I didn't review it, but I did, I did not care for this movie too much when I first watched it, but watching it again, there's actually some funny moments that actually made me laugh. Like I said, I was going through so much, drama when this movie came out that, I was recovering from it. It was bad. And I can't remember, yes, it's June 2nd, 2017, not a very good, that was when I was at my dad's house for the summer, but I was dealing with a lot of drama at home too, so when you have all that going on, and then you're talking about, when you're trying to think positive and all, it's very hard. That's why when you're talking to people, or you're having people talk to you, saying hi, you want to say hi back. Because then it makes people feel better. Because if there's too much negativity, then, that causes people to be down and depressed, Because I deal with that all the time, and it makes me kind of feel upset when I say hi to somebody, they don't say hi back, or I ask, how's your day? And then they just all talk all rude and disrespectful. I'm like, I don't like that, I can just ignore them, but I'm like, the point is, you want to talk, positive about some stuff, you don't want to just have negative all the time, That's at least what I was taught when I grew up, you don't want to focus on the negatives all the time, and at that time, though, I was going through so much stuff that that's all I could think about was the negative stuff because, again, I was going through a rough time. People kind of didn't understand that. I get where they were coming from, but I was trying to explain that, yes, I should be thinking positive stuff too, but there was so much negative that, it was hard. But that's kind of the thing, that's why I wasn't really the biggest fan of this movie. But rewatching this movie again, I'm Captain Underpants, and all that, I gotta say, yeah, it was actually really funny. I actually laughed at some of the jokes this time. I did, If you guys don't know what this movie's about, okay, it's about, I was talking about 5th grade and all that, and how it reminded me of that. That is because this principal here is, literally, I forgot what his name was, but he literally is, a controlling principal. And he is freaking psychotic. Actually, he's worse than the principal we had in, 5th grade, I've actually talked to plenty of my friends. A lot of my friends agree that it was not a very good school year, but for people, but this principal makes him look very kind and hearted to this person. This person's freaking psychotic. He is just really, really psychotic. I don't know, he just doesn't want the kids to be very happy and all. And I don't know, they never really give a super big reason to why, this guy never is happy. I get I think it's because he's lonely, I guess. No, actually, I think that might be a little bit of it. He's, lonely. But, the reason why he's lonely is because... he's lonely because, he treats people like garbage. So it makes total sense, why he's alone. I feel like they should have, maybe gave him a backstory or something. Maybe he's, maybe he became the man he did because of what happened to him as a child, I feel like they could give him more of a reason to why he's such a psychotic a-hole to the students. I know that's a weird way of phrasing it, but he is kind of an a-hole. He's a psychotic a-hole, but again, again, if they could give him more of a reason, then I can kind of understand it. But what happens is these two students here, which I think it's Greg and Tag or something like that. They're our main heroes. They hypnotize him to making him think he's Captain Underpants so they can goof off. The thing is, though, here's the problem, is the problem is with them, too, is they can be, their pranks can go too far. I get they want to have fun, because he never lets anybody have fun, but you also can go a little too far with the pranks and all that, too, so, but yeah, they can go a little too far with the pranks, they can. They can go a little too far with them and cause drama, so I can kind of understand, the whole why the principal was wanting to separate them. But again, they're trying to make people feel better too, because again, the principal guy is also very controlling. But they hypnotize him into thinking he's Captain Underpants. So he's not the Captain Underpants. He is just, Captain Underpants based off of their comic book they made, because they made comic books of a lot of these characters, which I think is kind of cool. I like that. I like how it's basically a story, into a story. It's really cool. It's a really cool idea. I actually really like it. We get a lot of stuff like Shrek. We get Shrek, and we get these movies called Hoodwink and Hoodwink 2, which I need to actually review, which I probably will review in the future. If you guys don't know what Hoodwink is, it's got a sequel to, they're kind of like Shrek in a way, but instead of poking fun at, Disney movies, they poke fun at, like, actual fairy tale creatures, like, from the fairy tale books. Shrek does a little bit of that, too, but they kind of do that, too, but they're like, actual, like, they're, like, in a story. I guess Shrek kind of is like that, they read the Once Upon a Time thing, but it's still like an actual real thing, and people just write like what happens. In this movie here, these two boys actually they actually write an actual like fictional book, and they actually make Captain Underpants a real person believe he's a fictional character. It's kind of a little hard to explain, but it's really cool though, like, and all that they actually kind of do that, like, so he's not like, unlike Shrek, where Shrek is real and all that, like, and they have a book based off of it, or Fiona, but these, of like, the plot of the movie, this is actually, just in their imagination, and they make it a reality, sort of, because Captain Underpants, because he's real, he doesn't actually have superpowers, he can't fly. But he doesn't fly. But I do really I like the idea a lot of it. I do, but I do like the idea of the movie, I do, but I will say, though, there are some funny moments here and there to it, that which is pretty cool, but the humor, I will say, for the most part, I think works. Sometimes, though, I think it's a bit stupid, like the potty humor, like Professor Poopy Pants. Everybody is laughing at his name and all that, which, by the way, is the villain in this movie, which I'll get to in a little bit. But Professor Poopy Pants, I think it's what his name is, Poopy Pants. Professor Poopy Pants, but he's got different, but he's got he's got different, like he's got, like a bunch of potty humor in his, name. I think those jokes are kind of stupid. They're kind of stupid, which kind of drives him, mad and wants to take over the world, because people make fun of his name, like, I don't know if they would say that they're making fun of him. It's more so they're laughing with him, not at him, like, I will admit I would say it is a very, funny name and all that, like, to name somebody, but yeah, I can kind of understand why he's a little upset, which kind of makes the villain a little bit, I kind of feel bad for the villain. They're not supposed to feel bad for him, but I kind of do in a way, but I kind of, but again, but again, it's not like everybody was actually, like laughing at him. It's more so they were caught off guard, because people do laugh, and get caught off guard with stuff like that. It's kind of real. I'm not saying, again, making fun of people was funny either, but I don't think they were like making fun of them. Well, except for the Ted and Greg, they were kind of making fun of them, but I feel like everybody else was kind of just caught off guard. They were caught off guard, and they were giving him his reward and all. I think even like his past, they kind of like, the woman giving his reward was even like that, but I do kind of feel bad that people kind of laugh at, his name and all that. But again, for the most part, I don't think they actually laugh at him and all that. They just laugh, they're laughing with him, not at him, and I don't think it makes it, upsetting for the viewer to watch, like, and I like that, but yeah, Greg and Ted are kind of one of those people, but Greg and Ted also are students that do get in trouble too, but for what they do, they kind of go a little too far with, like I said, pranks and all that. But I will say his Professor Poopy Pants is, backstory. I like how he looks kind of like he looks a lot younger, but he still doesn't have colored hair. His hair's still white, but he's not bald. So I'm guessing what did he go bald from stressing out or something? Like, I don't know, it's kind of weird, like, I don't know why they couldn't just give him actual colored hair. That seems kind of weird. I do like his design, though, too. I like the glasses, too. I think they're kind of cool and all that. Like, he is an interesting villain, but, like, I kind of wish they would give him more of a reason to, actually, like, for us not to root for him. Like, he actually physically harms actual people. Also, his voice actor, voices, his voice actor, actually voices a character in a Family Guy episode. I forgot the name of the character. Apparently it's not the same voice actor who voices Cleveland's, cousin, though, because Cleveland apparently has a cousin in this Family Guy episode where I talk about Peter, ancestor and all that, like, and the whole plot of, of him finding a country and all that, and all, or something like that, at least. I think he found like America or something. Did he find America, or was it, I don't remember, he found something. I have to rewatch the episode, because Family Guy talks about some of this lore and all that too, in a few episodes and all that. But the fact is that I thought that was the same voice actor. Apparently it's not. It's actually voiced by somebody else, but it sounds very similar, so that's pretty cool. So in a way, it's kind of like the voice actor voicing Technus on Danny Phantom. I brought that up in the past too, where his voice sounds a lot familiar to Gilbert Gottfried in a way. But I guess you can kind of hear the little difference too, but it's really crazy. Like, I like that they can do different voices too and make them sound similar. That's what's so cool about that. But yeah, I will talk about, his plot and all that. His plot here, I will talk about his plot here in a second. I do want to bring up some unfortunate news with this movie. Apparently, too, I haven't brought this up yet, but I want to bring this up. I thought about bringing it up actually in the actual, film itself, or not the film, like in a news-related video. But I'm talking about DreamWorks. Might as well bring it up here, because I do news-related videos too and talk about my thoughts and stuff. But I heard that the studio behind these movies sadly they sadly are shutting down. Yeah, I heard they're shutting their studio down. And it's really sad because, I feel like their animation is kind of more unique and all that, Well, actually, I guess to be fair, I don't know if their animation's like, it kind of looks kind of the same there, I guess, but it looks the same kind of like in the other, actually, I think, does the animation I wasn't paying attention to the backgrounds. I do know, like, the character models kind of look the same as, normal CGI, but they kind of, like, match the cartoon characters. I don't know, it's still sad to see them go, though, but this doesn't mean they'll officially stop making these movies, I don't think. I think they're still gonna make them, they just, like, it'll have to be under a different studio, or DreamWorks or something, but it is sad that, they shut down them. Now, DreamWorks didn't shut them down, at least what I've heard. I think they shut down because of, they had a lot of financial problems. Because actually, I don't even know DreamWorks actually owns them or not. I guess DreamWorks, is owned by Universal, but I don't know if Universal actually owns the studio that made it. But I don't think I've heard it's not actually their fault that they shut down, because sometimes these studios will just randomly shut down crap, like, Disney did with Poor Blue Sky. They shut them down and all that because they blamed it on COVID, but I think it was more so just because they didn't care about the studio. They basically just happened to get it when they bought out Fox, so they just shut it down. Or there's I think they were struggling and all that. And to be fair, I don't think they didn't even make a lot of movies. I don't know if they made a lot of movies or not. I can't remember. I mean, they made Dogman, but I don't know what else they made. It's still sad though, but I don't think in this case it was actually the studio's fault. I think they were the ones who actually chose to shut it down. But, because they were actually struggling, it wasn't the massive studios. Because, like I said, that'll happen. They'll shut something down. Like, I mean, we got Warner Brothers out there gutting, like, Cartoon Network, too, and all that, So, I mean, I'm just like I said, I don't like when studios do that stuff. Or these companies, these massive companies do this. But in this case, I don't think that was that. But I figured I'd bring that up because I'm talking about this movie, So why not bring it up? But yeah, I think I'm gonna get back to the movie here and all that. So what happens is this Professor Poopy Pants here he plots to to go to the school and take down the he happens to go take down the he goes to the school and all that and drains all the happiness with the traitor guy who has no like emotion at all. I forgot what his name was. His name is Terry. I think his name was Terry. I don't know. I can't remember who's who. It's been a couple weeks since I watched the movie, because like I said, I had to take a break because I lost my phone, and then also, not only had I lost my phone, but I had to actually not do any of that last week because I was very busy, and all that. I mean, I could have probably made this video, but I already had other videos planned that week because I had to take a break, like I said, so I was trying to get them out first. But he betrayed his friend, the students. I don't think they were ever his friend and all that, and he teams up with this guy, and they take over the school and all that, and it's really funny and all. They turn into a giant toilet, and he uses his massive ray gun to actually grow it. I really like that. I think that's a really cool touch. I really like that. Also, I like too how he actually grows up. I mean, he grows big and all that, and he grows big and he attacks the school and all that. That's pretty funny. I really like that. Actually, it is pretty funny. So we get a cool action sequence too and all that. We get a cool action sequence and all that. And I like at the end of all this, Captain Underpants actually gets actual mutant powers. So he actually becomes actual, Captain Underpants. And of course, Greg and Terry have to break the hypno ray thing to actually snap him out of it because he's too dangerous and all that, because he's not a very smart character and all that. It's kind of funny, Captain Underpants is completely different than the actual principal guy, which is really funny. But yeah, he's actually not very smart. The other guy is smart, but he's smart, but he's very strict and very angry and psychotic. This other guy is just happy. He's actually happy, but he's happy, but he also, is not very smart, so it's really interesting, seeing his different personalities, but apparently at the end of the movie, apparently at the end of the movie, though, he still has his powers and all, which would make total sense, actually, if you think about it, because, but I don't know if he has his powers with his actual, if he actually has his powers, normally, or he's hypnotized. I would assume when he's hypnotized when he has his powers, but it was kind of at the end, so we don't really know, if it's just his superhero hypnotized form that actually has it. But I do really like that, they actually gave him actual powers, and he actually gets to keep them, so it's still pretty cool, but yeah, but that's pretty much all there is to the movie. So this movie actually was not as bad as I remember. I definitely I definitely like it a bit more. Now, unlike Gravity Falls, which was another, like, I will say that's a TV show where I actually really liked it. I didn't really care for it at first, but I actually liked it. I think, again, I was just going through a rough time when I first watched the show. This one I actually don't like, but I don't hate this movie. In fact, I'm gonna give this movie a good, and we're gonna give it a good and 84 points. Yep, 84 points. Yeah, I think this movie is good. I don't think it's great. Like, the humor can be kind of stupid at times, and I kind of wish they gave more of a reason to why. Captain Underpants, or not Captain Underpants. I mean Professor Poopy Pants. They give him more of a reason to why, why he actually, or like, well, give him more of, not a reason, we'll give him more of a, a thing for wanting to actually, not sympathize to him. Because, I mean, yeah, he takes over the school and hypnotizes them and all, but I mean, to be fair, yeah, the kids kind of were laughing at him, his name and all that, but, I mean, to be fair, like I said, taking over the school and all that, too, is I kind of wish they actually gave, or maybe they could have had the kids at least say, if they could have had the kids at least, try to apologize, or even say, that the kid, well, that they can say the kids, weren't laughing at him, I mean, again, I don't think they were laughing at him, but I don't know, I don't know, except, let's say Greg and Tag were definitely laughing at him, they were definitely kind of laughing at his name, but I don't know. But to be fair, too, they do get their comeuppance too when they throw this party and all that. They go too far, and they go too far and actually have a theme park and all that, and in that scene and all that, and that's kind of what kind of messed everything all up. And I do like that they have to kind of learn that their pranks can go a little too far at times. And they actually do one prank that actually helps the principal and the cafeteria lady helps the cafeteria lady and the teacher guy, or not teacher, the principal guy actually get out on a date. I like that. I also like her reaction to when he's in his underwear. It's pretty funny, too. I mean, to be fair, technically, they have things for each other. I mean, they even show it in the movie, but they're just too afraid to admit it. But I do like that. But this movie's just not very. This movie just is not super great. But I don't hate it. I think I wouldn't mind watching it again in the future. But it's probably one of those I wouldn't want to watch. Again, it wouldn't be one of those DreamWorks movies or movies in general. I'll be I want to watch it again right now. I would probably would pick the Madagascar movies or Over the Hedge or something over this. But I still don't hate this movie. I still don't hate it. Like I said, I think it's good. But like I told you guys, I was going through a rough time, when this movie first came out, and because I was so down, watching this movie kind of just didn't really do much for me, but, because again, the humor's not the greatest, it's not the greatest, but I do like it, a lot, and it is sad, like I said, the studio shut down and all that. Speaking of which, we're going to talk about another fun fact here, and This is actually the last movie that was made with Fox, 20th Century Fox. It was the last one that was made, partnered up with them and all that. Before Comcast I think already was buying it, but they were in the process of buying it, so it was still had the older, it had the 20th Century Fox logo on it. Actually, after this, it'll change to Universal. But yeah, it'll change to Universal. Also, we're gonna get a new DreamWorks intro too. Yeah, we're actually gonna be getting a new DreamWorks intro, which is the second movie I'm gonna try to review this week, which will be How to Train Your Dragon. That'll be the first one that actually uses the new one. Yeah, the new one, because they changed it up again. But yeah, they changed the intro up again and all that, and Universal got a hold of it. Now I will say too, I do wish older Disney and all that, Universal would switch their logos up a little bit, like I kind of wish they could do that, if they could switch the logos up a little bit. That was something that Disney did back in the day, with their movies. So, for example, they had, Pixar, it had the 1995 Randy Newman CGI castle logo and all that. That was pretty cool. And then they still had to use their old one and all that. Of course, before they got rid of it and kind of got lazy with it. But, it was still cool what they did back in the day, and some of their movies that they own, they didn't even use the logo at all. I kind of wish Universal could do that, experiment with their intro a little bit. That'd actually be kind of cool. Or heck, they could actually, if they wanted, they could actually bring back the CGI one and all their early 2000s CGI Universal logo. They could bring that back for but I don't think they're gonna do that. But I just wish they could, these studios, they own all this crap. I wish they could, if they want to own this stuff, that's fine. Give us a different intro, so we're not watching the same one. Because when you own this much stuff, you kind of want to see a little bit something different, But that's the thing, though. Like I said, now that they own it, now that they actually own the the rights and all that, now instead they just use that logo, and I wish they could change it up. Disney's actually starting to do that with Fox too. They're starting to actually use their logo more than the Fox one. I'm just why can't you just use the Fox one? I don't understand that. I'm gonna say this too. I don't know if I'll eat my words or not. But I've kind of seen a lot of the newer DreamWorks movies. They don't seem too bad. I haven't seen all of them, but a lot of them don't seem that bad. They don't seem that bad, but I could eat my words for it, because there are a few I have not seen. But I'm actually glad that Universal, bought out DreamWorks, not Disney. Because if Disney bought out DreamWorks, they probably would have screwed it up so bad, they would have. I've told you guys before, they screwed up Fox and all that, and they're not even really using the Fox logo, and they shut Blue Sky down. I don't think they would probably shut DreamWorks down because it was making more money, than Blue Sky was. But I think they just happened to get Blue Sky, because they had to buy, all that stuff. They couldn't just buy it separately. But I just thought they could have if they didn't want it, they could have sold it off to somebody else, too. But yeah, I'm just kind of happy that it was Universal that bought out this instead, But again, I could be eating my words, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But for right now, though, some of the movies I have seen were actually good, and some of them look interesting, So again, except for Megamind 2, because I hear that movie's pretty bad. But we'll have to see. But for right now, though, I'm going to go ahead and let things go from here, though. I know this review is kind of long, but I was kind of talking a lot about, what's been going on and all for the last few weeks, and then, this. But the next review will not be as long, I promise. Anywho, though, let's go ahead and get things going. I'm going to go ahead and let things go from here. See you guys all later. Bye-bye.